well, I see some people that I know actually, uh, might be hearing this for second or third time. But many of you are newcomers to county committee, which is totally fine. So we're going to talk from the start about county committee 101, what it is, why it's there, why you should perhaps consider joining it. And I want to start with the fact that I think we're all here because we believe in a free and fair democracy. And kind of, when we look around, what we want for ourselves, for our children, for our friends, for our neighbors, is representatives who listen to our needs and who use their power, the power that we gave them when we elected them, to make policies that better our lives. Now, we understand that, that in a democracy, not every single policy will be exactly what we want, but as long as we feel that representatives have our best interests in mind, we're willing to play that game. And we want New Jersey to be a place where we all matter. But the problem is that it doesn't always seem that this is the case. And that's what we're going to talk about today. What is the source of the problem and why county committee is important for fixing it? So the plan for today is I have a presentation that takes about an hour, but feel free to ask questions in between, like throughout, and maybe it'll take shorter than an hour. I was just shortening it to the very last minute, actually. And I'm going to start with what is broken in New Jersey. Why do we not have the kind of democracy that we want? And then talk about how county committee can fix it. And in the same breath, I'll talk about what is county committee for those of you who are very new to this. I should say I had not heard about county committee at all until 4 years ago, and now I'm giving trainings about this. So it's not rocket science. And then I'll talk about the practicalities of how to run for county committee if you'd like to run, or if you'd like to encourage your friends and neighbors to run, and what to do once you're elected. I know some of you are already county committee members. We've just had an amazing county committee convention in Mercer this week in Mercer County. So I'll talk about that a little bit and how you can exercise your power. And I have here Q&A at the end, but really at any time, as I said. Okay, so what is broken in New Jersey, and why do we not have the kind of democracy that we want to have here? And I've subtitled this, How a Line Broke New Jersey's Democracy, because really it turns out, and I won't go through like all of the details here, but it turns out that it all funnels into one uber problem that basically breaks democracy in New Jersey, which is the design of the primary election ballot. So we have two elections. We have the primary election, which is an election of people within each of the political parties in New Jersey. So Republican and Democratic parties have primary elections. There are other parties in New Jersey, but because of our political system, and that's another way that it is broken, it's strictly a two-party system in New Jersey. And the other parties like the Green Party, Working Family Party, et cetera, don't really get that same status as the Democratic and Republican Party. And we can talk about that at length, but it's not the content of today. And then we have the general elections. And because of the way our districts are allocated and gerrymandered, et cetera, it turns out that the primary election is really, really important. So I want to start with showing you a little video. Now that I think about it, I didn't optimize for video. So let me just stop the share and share again with optimize for video clip. Okay, so this little video is kind of going to tell it all, hopefully.
Have you ever thought, why bother voting in New Jersey? You've seen the people in charge, and for the most part, they don't look like you, think like you, or seem to care about your values. Actually, they don't represent you. You've gone to demonstrations and heard some impressive people who had great new ideas, but they never seem to get elected. It seems that the same people win every year. There's a reason for this. In New Jersey, it's all about the primary election ballots. This is the county line. Party leaders place their favored candidates in the line, hoping you will vote for them blindly. They try to hide the independent voices where you won't see them. A candidate's position on the ballot, not their platform, determines whether they will win. This is not a level playing field. It's a stacked deck. New Jersey is the only state that does this. In all other states, ballots are organized by the position candidates are running for. It is clear who is running for what position, thus allowing voters to choose whomever best represents them. Only in New Jersey, you have ballots where the competitors to this guy, the county clerk who gets to draw the ballot, are way over here. And there are two of them in one column, confusing voters who invalidate their ballot by voting for both. The end result? Stagnation. No congressional incumbent on the ballot's county line lost a primary election in New Jersey over the last 50 years. Meanwhile, nationally, 8 congressional incumbents lost a primary election this year alone. And no state legislative incumbent on the ballot's county line lost a primary election in New Jersey since 2009, while nationally, 154 state legislative incumbents lost a primary election in 2020. This is not what democracy looks like. We deserve better ballots. Join the Good Government Coalition of New Jersey's Better Ballots New Jersey campaign and help bring democracy to New Jersey. Go to www.betterballotsnj.org for more information.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more about this specific campaign later on, but the point is that as you saw, and here's another example, these primary election ballots in New Jersey, so there, as I said, there's a primary election for each of the parties. Sometimes they are on, when it's a paper ballot, they will be on the same paper ballot. So here, this is the sample ballot. This was actually this is a sample from machine ballot. So in paper and in machine, they could be on the same page. This was from Middlesex County in 2017. And you can see here on the left, the Democratic Party election, and on the right, the Republican Party election. So registered voters, voters who are registered within a party can vote, but they can only vote within their own party. If I'm registered in one party and I vote in the other, that will not be counted. So these are really two elections happening simultaneously. And if we look, for instance, at the Democratic Party ballot here, this was the year that Phil Murphy, our governor, was elected. There were 6 candidates for governor vying for the Democratic nomination. And you can see them all here, but John Wisniewski is in column 5 on row 2. And it's really unclear what, voters might look at this and think, what's wrong with him? Like, why is he not in the same row? Is he running with Ray Lesniak? He's not, actually. If you vote for both of them, then you invalidate your ballot. He is running against all of these. For some reason, the county clerk said that they did not have room for 6 in a row, but then they didn't put John Wisniewski in column 1, where he would be, when it would be clear. It's kind of trying to hide this candidate. You can see the same kind of weirdness in the Republican side. There are 3 candidates as if they're running together, but actually they're not. The point was to support Jack Ciattarelli and try to get people who vote for any of these to vote for more than one. And it's just a big confusion here. And then we have the county line, which is the column that has people in every one of the positions. So state senator, members of General Assembly, et cetera. This is for that specific location, Middlesex County. So each person gets the ballot with that's relevant to their county, even to their municipality, and to their polling district. And all kinds of weird things here. So again, if you're trying to find out how many to vote for, it's tiny font. Here, vote for 1. Here, vote for 2. Here, vote for 2, etc. These ballots are very, very hard to use, very confusing to voters. And when voters don't really know what to do, they will take the cues from the visual cues. It looks like people on the line here, they all look organized. They all look like they're running together. How about I just vote down the line? And voting down the line is encouraged because in the general elections, we know that if I want to vote all Republican or all Democrat, I vote down one column. Here, people are confused to think that people off the line are in a different party. If I want to support my party, I vote down the line. Whereas actually all these people are in the same party. And you can be supporting the party with voting for any of them. People sometimes ask, am I allowed to vote for more than one column? And I've heard situations where the people working at the polling district tell them, no, you're not. And of course they are. They can vote for anybody that they want on this ballot as long as they stay within the party that they are registered to vote for. So within all of these or all of these. So it is very, very confusing. And this is just the top of the ballot. This same ballot continues kind of on and on. And here's the very bottom. And I'm showing you specifically this one because Laura Zorflu, she is one of the board members of Good Government Coalition of New Jersey. She ran for county. This is the first time she ran for county committee. She was put at the very bottom and at the very edge. This is what we call ballot Siberia. She was running against Phyllis Johnson, who is the wife of Glenn Johnson, who is also the mayor of the city and a county committee person. And so putting her far away there, not close, not in column A, is part of trying to make her not be elected. But she was elected, and she was elected in the election after that. She was again off the line, even though she was an incumbent. She was off the line, and she's managed to turn her whole committee from people who believe in these shenanigans to people who don't. So that is why we are here today. So does it make a difference? Does the line make a difference? The line makes a huge difference. It makes more of a difference the bigger the election. So when you're running for county committee, that's a very small election. That's your neighborhood voting for you. There you can win off the line, and we'll get back to that. But if you're running for governor, for instance, so Governor Murphy had the line in 20 of 21 counties, and he won in all of those counties. The one county that he did not win in, Salem County, is one of the only two counties in New Jersey that does not have a county line. This is the ballot in Salem County. And what you can see here is that this is, it's kind of hard to see, it's very small font, but candidates for governor of the state of New Jersey, 4-year term, vote for one. Here are all the candidates in one block. This is called a block design of the ballot. And it happened to be, so the order was drawn randomly, and John Wisniewski was first in that block. And in fact, that is the only county that he won. So there's a difference between, are you kind of second below someone else that you're not even running with, versus are you first in a block design? That affects voters. So voters are really, the outcome of elections really depends to much stronger an extent than we would want it to on the actual layout of the ballot. I want to go back a couple of slides and say one more thing about this organization here. So not only do people vote down the line because they're used to that from the general election, also they see someone well-known on top. So I might not know anything about what a surrogate is, and I don't know Kevin Hoagland, but I see that he's associated or seems associated with Phil Murphy or with Senator Booker or with someone that I know. And this year, there was no, that in 2017, there was no election for Senate, so we don't see the senators here. Presidential candidate will be on top of the line. So that again suggests to people to vote for the line. And the contrary, people being, so Catherine Hunt and Atif Nazir here running for freeholders off the line seem like they're running together with Mark Zinna, but they might not be. In fact, I see that they don't have the same slogan, which means that they're not running together with him. But again, this is very confusing to voters. It's not clear who's running as a pact, who's running separately, and as a result, people just tend to vote down the line. And as you saw from the video, incumbents on the line have basically not lost elections at the state level, not at the county committee level, but at the state level, have not lost elections for 50 years. That is crazy, because that means that if you are on the line, you win. You don't have to Doesn't matter what your campaign is. It doesn't matter what voters think about you. What matters is whether you're on the line or not. And so in this way, party insiders, party machines, party bosses, there are all kinds of names for them. In different counties, they are more bosses or more just insiders. But party insiders can basically decide who is going to win the election, which basically to me means this is not a democracy. This is not us, the voters, deciding on the election. This is a few people, handful, handpicked, sometimes not elected people who decide the elections. They decide who's going to be on the line. And here, this is from 2018, Tansy Youngblood was running for CD2, Congressional District 2, to be a House representative, and she was squeezed out by running off the line. And although she ran a fantastic campaign with a lot of grassroots support, etc., she did not win because it's very, very hard to win for Senate, for House and Senate off the line. Instead, Jeff Van Drew won that election. Jeff Van Drew was placed on the line not through a convention, not through asking voters who they want, but by the party chairs who put him on the line. And he was such a great candidate that within less than a year, he changed parties. And I'm saying that with like all the cynicism in the world. Basically, if the party says, you know, we know who are the best candidates, it's okay that we put people on the line and kind of force voters' hands here, manipulate voters to do this, because we know who has been in the party for a long time, have done the work, has put the, you know, boots on the ground. They've done that. We know they will represent us well, but here's who they choose. They choose someone who doesn't even stay in the party for a year. So we can't always trust. Sometimes they know what they're doing, sometimes they don't. We can't always trust that. And we want to be able to have our representatives earn their positions by actually having policies, having what's it called? Not policies, platforms that voters are, that resonate with voters. So in short, the idea is that these ballots are manipulating voters to vote down the line, to not vote for these hidden candidates in ballot Siberia. And in the end, we're not voting for who we want, we're voting for who they want. And we don't even know who they are. We often don't even know who controls the ballot structure, who put people on the line and why they put people on the line. And a lot of times they put people on the line because of personal favors. Who brings more money to their specific company? And this sounds really awful and full of corruption, but it is really awful and full of corruption. So just to drive this home, the ballot line, the county line, it's often called, gives the kind of placement advantage that advertising companies would pay millions for. It basically buys you a position in government. And as a result, people are willing to do a lot to get the party line because they know that with the party line, they will win. And without the party line, they won't. That is where it breeds corruption and doing favors for each other. And importantly, we're talking here only about primary elections, but because our districts are not competitive and there's low voter turnout and no statewide press and all kinds of other problems in New Jersey, the New Jersey elections are basically settled in the primary election. Whoever wins the primary election in different counties, some counties are Republican counties, some counties are Democratic counties, whoever wins the election in that party in that county will basically go on to win the general election. So all of this is not by chance, not by mistake, it's on purpose. The ballots are confusing on purpose. The rules for getting the line in different places, the requirements for running, for even getting on the ballot. So this term ballot access is very complex in New Jersey. It's very different from locale to locale. If you're moving to a different city, suddenly the rules will be different. Let's say you ran for council in one city, now you're running for council in another town. It might be completely different. If you're moving across county lines, it will be completely different. And people do not try to unpack these rules for you. This is from a previous presentation where people asked questions in advance and people had asked about this. It's sometimes very hard to find out the rules. And if you think about it, congressional seats, for instance, I was talking about CD2. Sorry, and I think I said that wrong. I think Jeff Van Drew is in CD1. No, he is in CD2. So CD2 includes 8 counties. So someone who wants to run in CD2 needs to get the county line in 8 counties. And in each one, there are different rules for how to get the county line. And you can get the county line in some counties and not in others, et cetera. It's a really big mess, and it affects everything. It affects anybody who's running in New Jersey. So a presidential candidate who wants to run in New Jersey they're running in the whole country, but they have to worry about 21 counties and the rules of getting on the line in 21 counties, which is pretty ridiculous, I think. So the Better Ballots New Jersey campaign is a campaign that we've started in Good Government Coalition of New Jersey, and it basically calls for, so what we have now in the campaign is a resolution to establish a fair ballot. That the fair ballot is based on, and there's another video that you can see that explains all about it in the Better Ballots New Jersey website. The website again is www.betterballotsnj, one word, .org. And that the ballot that we're advocating for is based on what every other state does, and based on the results of research on what is on best practices for designing ballots. It's very simple. It should have very, only essential stuff written in it, not a lot of tiny words, large fonts. Should have office block organization where you just see the office being sought and all the candidates underneath it. And they're just very simple rules. Actually, it's the rules for good ballots are way shorter than the rules for the messy ballots that we have here. And apart from running for county committee, I encourage you all to go on the Better Ballots New Jersey .org page and see if you want to join that campaign. You can join as a campaign ambassador. You can get your town, your municipal committee, your township committee, your faith group, any group you're in, to sign the Better Ballots resolution. We have over 50 organizations that have already signed, many of them statewide. And we're really hoping, with patience, this is not something that takes a day or two, we're hoping to change this for the better. I should have pressed this and it would have had the URL here. So that's one thing you can do. But the second thing you can do if you're infuriated about all this is run for county committee. And that's why you're all here today. And so running for county committee is really, this is now the second part of the presentation today. That is one solution to this very, very big problem. Questions before I continue to part 2? Okay. So what is county committee? So county committee is an elected position within each of the 2 large parties. So the parties are considered private organizations. They're not completely private organizations. They can't do anything they want. There are statutes that determine how they work, but they are private organizations. So it's an elected position only on the partisan primary elections. If you're running for county committee, you only run for election in the primary election. You do not run in the general election. You're already elected in that primary election. And these are the people who are supposed to be the boots on the ground. There are county committee people in every town, tens of them in every town, and depends on the size of the town. So in fact, there are 2 people for every polling location. So if you're in a tiny town that has only 2 polling locations, you might have 4 county committee people. If you're in a larger town, I'm in Princeton, I think we have something like 40 county committee people. Across the state, there are thousands of county committee people. And they're organized by county, and within that by municipality. And they're, in theory, the people who run the party. These are the eyes and ears of the party to understand what voters want and need. So because you're running in your polling location, this is basically your neighborhood. You're supposed to be the eyes and ears of the party in your neighborhood. What do people want? Let's say you're running for Democratic Party. What do the Democrats in your neighborhood want from the party? That's in theory. In practice, it's a little bit different, and we'll get to that. But most important for today, and the reason why I said that to solve this problem in New Jersey and to bring a better democracy to New Jersey, you should run for county committee, is that the ballot structure is determined at the county level. And again, in theory, not always, but in theory, by the county committee. And I'll say more about this in a bit, but really when I say in theory, it should always be the county committee. Sometimes it is the county committee chair only, not the whole committee, but the committee elects the chair. So in a sense, it all funnels down to the county committee. So county committee is where we can make sure New Jersey is really the democracy we want it to be. Kevin, have a question?
Yeah, I do actually. Thank you. So the polling district where I live, I was just curious. I knew about how there's 2 representatives per polling location. Is that 2 county committee people per party? Like are there also 2 Republican county committee people for my polling district?
Yes.
Or Democratic?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Not all of the positions are filled. So in some towns, let's say a town is very much in one party and not another, then that party might not bother with county committee. The party that's not highly represented in that town might not bother, and there most of the positions might be empty. But there are 2 county committee people for every polling location for each of the 2 parties.
Okay, and so then so that's why you would never have to run against like a Republican in a general. You win the primary, you are party's county committee person. Okay, gotcha.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Totally partisan position. I should say, I didn't say in the very beginning what Good Government Coalition is, etc. So Good Government Coalition of New Jersey is a nonpartisan organization that is 4 years old, that is really, our goal is to improve democracy in New Jersey and to bring good government to New Jersey. So everything I'm saying today is both parties equally. So county committee has enormous power. It's a very small role. You're really running to represent your community, your neighborhood, and it's not going to demand a lot of time from you this week. So I'm a county committee member that since a year ago. I basically got elected a year ago, and this week was the week in which we had our county convention, and this is the week in which I needed to do stuff. But the rest of the year, basically, I don't have to work for county committee the rest of the year. There's not a lot to do. But it offers you a lot of power for that little time, because you can really be an agent of change in your community and in your party. And that's because county committees one of their main roles is to screen and choose candidates, which is really the endorsement process of deciding who gets to run on the line, who gets endorsed by the party. So the county line is controlled, as I said, at a county level. Each county does it differently. And the process of choosing who gets the line in each party, and even whether there is a line or not, depends on the municipal and county bylaws. So for instance, if someone is running for council in my town, the municipal committee of the town, which is part of the county committee. So county committee is made up of municipal committees in each town. The municipal committee of my town will choose who to endorse for our local races, for our council, for our, Board of Education is nonpartisan, so we won't choose that, but for our council and our mayor. And then the county will choose the county, who to endorse for the county positions, the surrogate, the county commissioner, etc. And if someone is running for state senate or state assembly, they might be so the legislative districts don't align with county districts, so with county lines, so they will be running in several counties and will be competing for the line in each of those counties. And there are bylaws for each county committee that determine exactly how that county committee determines who gets the line, determines the endorsement process. And I'm going to say from the get-go that the line, I'm saying here that the line is the bane of our existence in terms of a fair democracy in New Jersey. The line might also be the bane of your existence as a county committee member, because they may make you run off the line, depending on your town and how strongly it is, how strongly people are trying to keep it an insider game. And if you're an outsider and you just say, hey, I have good ideas, I want to run, I want to make a difference, they might be like, no, thank you. And you'll be like, well, no, I really do want to run. And so they'll put you in ballot Siberia, which is all the more reason to get rid of the county line, because we want to have bigger tents. We want to have anybody who has good ideas and wants to put the work in, run and try to influence our state. So how do counties select who gets the line? In some counties, only the county chair decides. So they don't ask the whole county committee, all these elected people, they only ask the county chair, or ask. In all counties, in fact, the county chair is who decides in the end. In some counties, the county chair asks the committee, and in some counties they don't. That's really the way to describe it. Sometimes the county chair, some counties have this tradition of the chair, let's say for legislative district assembly. So there are 2 assembly seats, so they have this, our tradition is the chair chooses 1 seat and the mayor of so-and-so town chooses another seat. That's how they decided to do it. So that's how they do it. Who are these chairs? These chairs are often people who don't necessarily seem super representative of this state. They are mostly men. They're mostly white. They've been chairs for a gazillion years. They've been kind of party insiders for a very, very long time. They often have multiple positions. So Jim Beach is Camden County Chair. He is also a senator in our state Senate. Others here, many of them have more than one role as elected officials. And it helps, right? It helps if you can put yourself on the line and you get elected again, right? So the fact that they have more than one role is not because they were elected independently to all of them. It's because they have the role that gives them all the other roles. Yes, Ellen.
Isn't there a rule that forbids that? I mean, that is a huge conflict of interest.
Absolutely. Huge conflict of interest, not forbidden. In fact, the county clerk is the person who actually draws the ballots. The county clerk is also on the ballot and gets to place themselves on the ballot and their competitors on the ballot every year.
And if they want to run for bigger office, they can give themselves every advantage.
Absolutely, every advantage. And they do. It's not only they can, they totally do.
That makes no sense to me.
In fact, what happens is when there is a vacancy, so, you know, I'll go to that in a couple of slides, but really all of this is who owes what, who owes whom for what favor. So it ends up the situation. So let's say I'm the county chair and I myself decide who gets the line. All those representatives know that I got them their job, not the voters, not the county committee people, it's me personally. So when I ask for a favor, or even when I don't ask, I just wink, wink, my company applies for some contract, there's some bill that's going to be bad for my company. What are they going to do? Are they going to think, well, you know, what's fair to voters? Or are they going to think, how do I please this one person that is key for me to get my job again next time in 2 years when I get elected, when I go up for re-election? So there's a lot of corruption, a lot of grift here, a lot of doing favors for each other, and that's exploited to the maximum. So if a position opens up, everybody basically, you see that, let's say a senator resigns, or drops dead for some reason, which happens sometimes in the middle of their, you know, they're very old, some of them. So there's a vacancy. You would think, okay, now there would be an open race. Anybody who's good for the job can run. No, no, no. They look one position below, so assembly. Let's promote one of the assembly people. Now we get to look at the county commissioners, and let's promote one of the county commissioners to assembly. Now we get to look at the level right below. So everybody is promoted like one small step up the ladder. Everybody now owes more to the county chair. that just did this whole list of promotions. So that's how you see people moving from job to job, like climbing the ladder very, very slowly, all with knowing exactly who they owe their job to. So some counties have conventions in which the county chair asks the county committee who they should endorse. They don't have to, by law, they don't have to listen to what the county convention says, but they can ask. And sometimes they do listen. They're not all terrible. But sometimes they ask it with a voice vote. So voice vote, literally they see who's voting for whom, and everybody knows who the county chair prefers. And this sounds like, there are going to be hundreds of people in the room. How will they know who voted for whom? They know. People say that they have voted against what the county chair wanted in a voice vote, and next year they were off the line. The county committee people. So there's a lot of like, let's write down and see exactly who's on our side and who's not. And that's why I said, in some towns, you might be fighting just by being an outsider. You might be already fighting a battle because they want everybody to be yes men. Very few counties have a secret ballot, which is the way it should be. And the most democratic way. The most democratic way would be to not have a county line at all. But if you have a county line, at least you want to choose the endorsements in a fair and secret ballot. So this does not seem very democratic. Not only do we have the party line, but now the way we endorse for the party line is not very democratic either. And so this was a slide that I already said all this one before, but but the important thing here is that our representatives are beholden to those who got them their positions. If this is the county chair or a handful of political insiders or the mayor of Bayonne or whatever, they will not care about what voters need and want. They will care about what those people need and want. They will not be working for us. And so our goal here as county committee members, if we run for county committee, and in general as activists in this state is, and my goal as a president of Good Government Coalition of New Jersey, is to have an accountable electorate, an electorate that is accountable to all of the residents of the states, not to political machines, not to political insiders. And that's what we mean, that's what I mean when I say that I want a real democracy in New Jersey. And this story is a perfect example of this accountability. So some of you, I think, are in Hudson County. This was in November. So in November, like 3-4 months ago, Hudson County freeholders were voting on whether or not to renew a 10-year contract with ICE to use their detention facilities at their jail for ICE detainees. So this was a contract that 2 years ago, the commissioners had promised. Commissioners are used to be called, what were they called?
Freeholder?
Freeholders, exactly. So 2 years ago, they were freeholders. We just changed the name and now I couldn't remember. Oh, here, it says it even. So the county freeholders had promised to not renew the contract when it came up for renewal. And now it came up for renewal and suddenly they wanted to renew it. So there was a meeting of the county freeholders, the county commissioners, and hundreds of people spoke up, all of them for over 9 hours. So the meeting started at 4 p.m. and ended after midnight. And all of them to a T spoke against the contract, saying that I don't live in Hudson, but as people living in Hudson, they said, we do not want to be dealing with ICE in our county. Despite this, nearly 200 speakers vocalizing concerns, nobody speaking for. The Board of Freeholders voted to renew the contract with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, with ICE. And it boils down to, who are they accountable to? Do they care about these 200 speakers or more, or do they care about the county chair? So the county chair is Amy DeGeese, I don't know how she says her name. She assigns the county line without a convention. So she herself decides who gets the line. Her father happens to be the county executive who really wanted this contract because of the money that it would bring into the county and balancing the budget of the county. So everybody, all of these freeholders know that the county chair's dad really wants this contract. And in fact, one of the county commissioners, Torres, said, this is from that article, he paid the ultimate political price because he voted no and he was thrown off the line. He said he would do it again because he wants to do what's right, but he was basically thrown off the line. He's not running again. He's not going to be commissioner in the future. So this is really the problem. And that's why by running for county committee, we can change this, because the first thing that we can do as county committee members is make sure that we have a full convention and that we all get a say on who we endorse. And so then there is less power to the county chair and more power to all of the county committee members. And then the next step is to change the ballots and to say, how about we don't have a line at all? And I'll talk about this some more. But just to round up, what else does county committee do? So county committee members also decide about funding. So the political party organizations raise millions of dollars, and they have control over how that money is spent. Advertising and mailings to voters cost a lot of money, and candidates who spend the most money typically win elections. So it's really important to determine who your party is going to support and who they're not going to support. Now, here again, the county chairs are really, really powerful. The county party chair's signature is often required on any transaction. They don't have to ask anybody who they should be supporting, but we should be requiring as county committee members that the county committee vote on support, or a county committee has a subcommittee that decides, because we're not going to do a whole convention every time there's a question of spending $5, but basically to take that power away from one pair of hands and be more democratic about it. And this is the most important part. The party chairs, the county chairs, I should say county chairs themselves, are voted on by the whole committee. And that's where we really have power, because we can say, okay, the county chair has a lot of power. We want to elect a chair that will distribute that power, that will have conventions, that will have secret votes on endorsements, that will have committees who determine how to spend the money. All of that we should demand from our county chairs, and we elect the county chairs. So that is not always by a secret vote, but it's always the case that I think in every single county that the county committee elects the county chair. This is also true at the municipal level. So as I said, the county committee is made up of municipal committees. Every municipal committee has a municipal chair, and the municipal committee elects their municipal chair. By the way, the county chair and the municipal chairs, they do not have to be elected by voters. They don't have to be county committee members themselves. They might never be on the ballot for county committee. They're only elected by the county committee members. So that is the point of this slide here. So the county committee members elect their municipal and county chairs. In some counties, that's by a secret ballot, which I think is like, what a low bar that I'm so excited that some counties have a secret ballot for this election. But this is a really, really critical decision. It determines the direction of the party, its platform, where it stands, who it supports financially, etc. Did I want to say anything else here? I wanted to say one more thing, which is municipal chairs are also very important, because in some counties, the endorsements are decided only by municipal chairs and the county chair. So in any case, it's really important who you choose, even if your town is very small and has 4 county committee members. They have a municipal chair. That municipal chair might have power that everybody else in the committee does not have. And so it's important to choose the right person, the person that, again, will ask the county committee members, the municipal committee members, who they want to endorse, and then take that and vote that way when they get to vote at the county level. One more thing that county committee does that's very important is fill vacancies in county and legislative office. So I already mentioned that vacancies happen for all kinds of reasons in the middle of a term. And then we don't always go to a special election. We mostly just fill those vacancies, and county committee is who fills the vacancies. So if a state legislator or a county freeholder, should be county commissioner at this point, steps down during a certain window of the year, and they make sure to step down during that window and not in other times of the year, the decision of who will replace them doesn't go to the constituents, doesn't go to a special election, but it's made instead by a vote of the county committee people within that legislative district or within that county, depending on whether it's a legislative position or a county position. And that is not a rare occasion. So 1/3 of our legislature, 1/3 of the Senate and Assembly were originally put in office through this process. So county committee people elected them. And once they're in, it's kind of an in almost for life, because as you saw in the video, they never lose because now they always get the line. And so this means that as a county committee person, you are choosing the senator or assembly member for your district for maybe 20 or 30 years. So it's a really, really important position. That's why I said, that it doesn't demand a lot of time, and it's not a hard campaign to run to get into county committee, but some of your decisions will be really, really critical. And of course, being an incumbent is a huge advantage. So that's why appointing someone, filling a vacancy, and having that person having incumbency in the next race basically means that they get reelected. So all of those are where you have power. Also, the original role of county committee is, and this is kind of the legwork of being in county committee, is really to be boots on the ground, to get out the vote. So canvassing before primary elections to get out the vote. As a county committee member, I called people in my district, in my neighborhood, to make sure that they have all the information they need. This was a year with a pandemic. Do you know where the ballot box, where the drop box is? Do you know what you need to bring with you if you're bringing your vote by mail ballot to the polling location, etc., what hours it's open? You can also tell them that they're allowed to vote off the line if people are confused and do not know how that ballot is structured, especially if it's not a pandemic year and you're going door to door and talking to people, then you can show them, you can explain to them, you can say, there's nothing special about this line. Everybody here is in the party. Look up the candidates on their websites, find out who you want to support and vote for them. And there are, no rules binding you to one column and not another. Canvassing before the general election to get out the vote. So that's the place where, this is a partisan position. So after the primary is over, before the general election, of course, county committee members are expected to canvass and get out the vote. You don't have to. Nobody will force you to do that, but that's really your role as a party member and as a party representative. County committee members sit in polling locations. They oversee the elections. It's called being challengers. So you sit there to see that everything is okay, that people are not being manipulated in any way, that the other party is not running some shenanigans in that polling location. So each party has representatives in each polling location. And this is, again, a question that I got in the past from county committee members who were told that they're only allowed to support candidates on the line as county committee members. That is just not true. You're a county committee member for the party, not for a specific candidate. And all the candidates on the primary ballot are running in the same party. You can support any of them. And especially, you could just give people the information that they can support any of them, and they will not be not supporting their party if they vote for someone who's off the line. Questions? Okay, so how do we do this? How do I get on county committee? So I already said what exactly the county committee is, this governing structure for a specific party. And I want to say you don't have to run 2 elections to get on county committee and on municipal committee. It's one election. Once you're elected, you're actually elected to both, to the municipal committee of your town and to your county committee. This is different from local party clubs. So many towns will have a Democratic or a Republican or both clubs. Those are not elected positions and basically have nothing to do with this, with county committee. So this is a little bit of a repeat, but like putting it all in one place. Your role is on county committee. So you have different roles on county committee and on municipal committee. On county committee, you usually, hopefully, cast a vote to endorse primary candidates, deciding who gets the line. Usually at a convention, depending on the county. It says here usually, but actually the minority of counties have conventions. As I said before, in some places you will not cast a vote, only your municipal chair will cast the vote. So you cast the vote in a municipal committee meeting and your chair is supposed to take that information on. Sometimes there won't be a convention at all. So you'll be elected to committee and then you'll never hear from them again. And you'll be thinking, what am I doing wrong? But you're in a county where there are no county conventions and your municipal committee is defunct and nothing is happening and they are basically stonewalling you. So I'll say in a bit how you can try to get your power back, but in some places it will seem like nothing is happening. County committees do have to meet by law once after every primary election. So I believe it's a week after the primary election, and that's when they elect the county chair. And this is by law. I have to say most counties break the law right now because they only meet after every other primary election. So the county committee itself was in the past, now it's even longer, a 2-year position. And so they only meet after a new county committee is elected to re-elect the county chair. But by law, it should be every year. As a county committee member, if your county committee process doesn't seem democratic, you can make a motion to change the bylaws. So by law, again, every county committee has bylaws and those can be changed. It requires a lot of careful organizing. It's not easy, but if enough people get together, it can be done. And I'll tell you an example in just a few slides. So that was county committee. On municipal committee, your role is to vote on municipal endorsements, but also to recruit, encourage, educate, promote candidates for your township government to kind of create a bench. So when we had an opening now in Princeton for council, people were calling each other on county committee and saying, who can we get to run? Like, who are the good candidates? So this really is a role of kind of building the party in your town. Get out the vote work, of course, being challengers at polls, everything that I already mentioned a couple of slides ago. Municipal committees also have fundraisers. They can contribute the monies to campaigns at the local level and at the state level. And as I said, municipal committees elect their municipal chairs, which is also a really important vote that you will take part in. So the law that determines how county committees work in New Jersey is Title 19. You can look it up. I mean, you don't have to copy this long link. If you look up Title 19 New Jersey, it's available online. And what Title 19 says, it says lots of things, but the main things that it says is that there will be municipal committees and county committees for each party, that the members shall take office on the first Saturday following their election as members of the county committee, that the annual meeting of each municipal committee will be held on the first Monday following the primary election for the, so that is annual, right? So every year there should be a meeting on the first Monday following the primary election. That the members of each committee elect someone to be their chairman. That's why this is part of the law. So that has to be that the members of the committee elect their chairperson. The chairperson does not have to be part of one of the elected members, could be anybody. That they can adopt bylaws or a constitution, and that they fill vacancies. So a vacancy in the office of a member of a municipal committee of any political party, however so caused, shall be filled by the municipal committee in the municipality that it occurs. Brian, you had a question?
See, I did, but well, when I'm actually already on the committee in my town, and it's been kind of a bad experience for all the reasons you're saying here. But one of our municipal committee does not have any bylaws. We've been supposedly working on that, and one of the things that I had proposed in our bylaws was I didn't think the chair needed to be one of the committee members, and I was told I was mistaken about that.
You are right. By law, the chair does not have to be. In fact, in my town, the chair in the past was not a county committee member.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, so
no,
that's
you are right.
More information than I was told that is not correct, which is not that surprising. Thank you.
Yep. So counties have to have bylaws. All the counties have bylaws. By law, those bylaws have to be online. And in fact, they're not easy to find, but we have found the bylaws for every one of the counties, so they are online. Municipal committees may and should have bylaws, but they don't always. My own municipal committee, now something came up and I said, I want to see the bylaws. And it turns out that the link to the bylaws on the really rudimentary website doesn't work and nobody knows where the bylaws are. So we have bylaws, but nobody knows what they are and how to get to them. So, you know, I have to say, I'm being very negative here. This is a whole bunch of volunteers, right? All the people in the municipal committee are doing this. This is not a paid position. We all have our other jobs. We are all in the middle of a pandemic, but it is kind of sometimes ridiculous and sometimes seems malicious. In our case, I think it's more on the ridiculous side in my municipal committee. In order to run for county committee, there are some requirements that you have to fulfill. You have to be at least 18 years old. You have to be a registered member of the party that you're running in. So if you're unaffiliated, you can just affiliate with a party, but you have to be affiliated with the party that you're running in. And you have to be a resident in the district you're running to represent. So in most counties, I think all counties but Camden County, the districts are by polling district. So I am a representative of polling district 13. And that's because I live in polling district 13. If I live in a different polling district, I run in that polling district. There are 2 representatives for each district. In the past, they had to be a man and a woman. They no longer have to be a man and a woman. This is because there is there was a lawsuit, and so there is now precedent for them being 2 men or 2 women, or anywhere on the gender spectrum, people can run for county committee. In some counties, specifically in Camden County, if any of you are from Camden County, all of this is different. There, they elect at large at the municipality. So according to the size of the town, let's say the town has 24 county committee members, all of them run as one slate and they just all have to live in the town. There is no subdivisions there. So that makes it, on the one hand, more flexible, on the other hand, really hard, because if you want to run, you have to find another 23 people to run with you because you run as a slate of 24. So when people elect the county committee in a town that is by polling district, so in my town, I'm in polling district 13, so I will have only the candidates for polling district 13. If I were in Camden County, I would have all the candidates in one block, all the candidates for county committee who are already on county committee, and then all the people who are challenging them in another block. So you have to find a whole slate of challengers. But again, it can be done and has been done. And people are taking over county committee by town in Camden County. So the first step is you want to find out if your county is up for election, your county committee is up for election this year or not. It's a 2-year term, or it used to be a 2-year term, and some counties had elections in odd years. So like this year, 2021, Camden, Middlesex, Sussex, Union, and Warren, and others were in even years. This is actually no longer the case because I would like to say because of COVID-19, but really I want to say taking advantage of COVID-19, a bunch of county committees have extended their terms, the terms of the people sitting in office, which sounds about as wrong as Donald Trump wanting to move the elections because of inconvenience. So they have made their terms 3 years, 4 years, saying that, you know, it's really hard to have elections, so let's have elections only every 4 years, not every 2 years. To which, so this happened in Middlesex, for instance, and I think recently in Essex,
Union County also.
and Union as well. Yeah. It's really awful. Atlantic postponed their election last year to this year. Now the question is, will they have it this year, or are they going to try to postpone it again? They of course do it in the last minute. But anyway, you can find out if you're up for election or not this year. And you find this out from your town clerk. So your municipal clerk, you can look up on your municipal website, the municipal clerk, and just email them or call them. Or you can ask your municipal committee chairman. Those are sometimes harder to find because they don't necessarily have a website. And also, again, if they're going to be very hostile to outsiders, you might not want to ask them. You might not want to let them know that you're running until the last minute. So it's really useful to call your municipal clerk. So calling your municipal clerk, you can find out whether the whole committee is up for election, but also whether the seat that what is the seat that you're eligible for? Like what is your district number? You'll give them your address and they'll tell you. They'll tell you if that seat is empty or filled. They can give you, they should have to give you a nominating petition. So if you want to run, you need to fill a nominating petition. You have to get signatures. So they will give you the nominating petition. When I called my municipal clerk, I thought she would be all excited that someone wants to participate in the process, especially that it was a vacancy and I was recruited for this and stuff. No, not a lot of excitement there. She sounded quite gruff and was like, what do you want from me? It's like, that's your job. But anyway, I didn't say that. But after being all kind of mean, she actually, I found in my mail a couple of days later, she sent me the nominating petition because she said, here's where you can download it. And I was thinking, well, luckily I have a printer, but actually she printed it out for me and sent it to me without even asking me for my address. I guess I gave her my address to start with to find out what district. So she had written it down and sent it to me by mail. So they will help even if they have to by law. And the nominating petition is where you get, it has lines for signatures. You have to get signatures from people who are eligible to vote in your primary in your district. So they have to be registered in the party that you're running for, and they have to reside within your polling district unless it's an at-large Camden County thing where they have to reside in your city. You don't have to get a lot of signatures. It's 5% of the number of voters in the last election that had an assembly election. So it's some kind of whatever. I don't know exactly which election, but your municipal clerk will tell you what is the number. And that number could be you need 2 signatures. It could be you need 1 signature. You sign and you're done. You're allowed to sign your own petition. You should sign your own petition, in fact. Your partner can sign your own petition. It's anybody over the age of 18 that's registered to the party and lives in your district can sign. I basically have never heard of it being more than 10 signatures that people need. So this is going to be a small number. I would suggest to get at least double in case they reject some of the signatures. To be sure you're going to be on the ballot, get double the number. So if you need 1, get 2. In the past, you needed to notarize these before submitting them. This has changed because of COVID-19. Last year, we did not have to notarize and we could email them instead of bring them in person to the town clerk before 4 p.m. on the deadline day. But you should ask your municipal chair or municipal clerk to tell you what the rules are this year. April 5th is the deadline for petitions this year for any committee that has elections this year. Okay, there are 2 types of races. You might be running for a seat that is filled, or you might be running for a seat that is empty. If it's empty, obviously it's not a competitive race. Well, depending on how many people are running. If you're the only one running for an empty seat, which often happens, you don't have to work too hard. But if the seat that you're seeking is filled, as a courtesy, you can first approach the current committee person and tell them that you're thinking of running. Some of them would be like, okay, great, I won't run. I was only doing this because, they needed to fill the seat and I was asked to do it. So they will be happy to vacate the seat for you and basically have you run a non-competitive race. You can also speak with the county committee chairperson, the municipal committee chairperson, I should say, and let them know about your interest. I put a big underline under can here to remind again that in some places that is not wise. get the lay of the land from people in your town, find out whether they're going to try to stop you even before you've made the first step. And if so, don't tell them until the last minute. I mean, by April 5th, you have to put in your petition and then they will know, but you don't want to give them a head start. And I've heard of people who were running, and when the chairperson found out that they were running, they got a phone call saying, why didn't you tell me that you were running? I would have told you. I would never endorse you in a million years. So that's the kind of welcome that they got. So better to not tell them if they're not going to endorse you anyway. If the seat is vacant, you're really in good luck because you don't even have to wait for the election, especially if the election is not this year, but even if the election is this year. So last year when I was recruited to run, it was January, and they said, look, we can already appoint you, so you'll run as an incumbent. So the municipal chair who recruited me basically brought it up to a vote. So if there's a vacancy, the municipal committee can vote you in at a regular meeting with just 15% of the members. So, you know, 2 people can appoint you in to a committee. In our case, there were more people there, but this year we just filled up 2 vacancies. We just all voted for them. We're happy to fill vacancies. So if it's a vacant position, pounce on it. And then you get to run as an incumbent. If there's no vacancy and no election this year, you can still start making yourself a good candidate, volunteering, talk to people in your municipal committee, get the lay of the land, start doing the groundwork and network for running next year. In any case, if the seat you're seeking is filled, or if more than 2 people are running and it's going to be a challenge, it's going to be an actual race, then you need to run a campaign. Like any other campaign, you get a walking list of the registered voters in your district from your municipal clerk or your county superintendent of elections. Ask them to give it to you in electronic format so you can sort it and save a lot of time of, you know, moving pieces of paper around. And they will also give you an election district map that will show you exactly your election district. And you only have it's like any other campaign, but it's a micro campaign. This is literally your neighborhood. These are your friends. These are people that you know. When I called people on the phone, I said, hi, this is Yael from 377 Franklin Avenue, just so they would know exactly who I am. It's an easy campaign to run. Introduce yourself, tell them that you'd like to represent their interests, ask them about their concerns, take notes, don't leave flyers in their mailbox, and don't promise to fix things, because very few things will be in your power. If they're like, well, I really want, you know, that street light over there has been broken for months. That's a council issue. That's a municipal issue that as a municipal committee person, you can say, oh, that is good to know. And I will try to find out who's the person to talk to about that, but you can't fix it yourself. And then, of course, right before the primary election, and depending this year whether it's going to be all vote by mail again or not, I think it's not going to be all vote by mail, you should get out the vote. You should go and talk to people and remind them to go and vote. Remind them how important primary elections are in New Jersey. Remind them that this is the election in New Jersey, the primary election. And often you need very few votes to win. Even in a competitive election, these are not many people vote in primary elections, and this is your neighborhood. So 30 votes and you win. Some people have won. I've in the past more than once given presentations like this where someone spoke up and said, I won with 1 vote myself, and I wrote myself as a write-in. Like, you see that nobody is running, put yourself as a write-in. Ask your friend to put yourself as a write-in, and that's it, you're elected. Show them where your name appears on the sample ballot, even if you're not on the line, even if you're in Siberia of ballot Siberias, your neighbors know who you are, and they will find you and they will vote for you. And many people have won off the line for county committee. So the line is awful, but for county committee, you can overcome it. Okay, now the very last part, and I see that we're already way past an hour. So I'll go through this really quickly. What to do once you're elected. So as a committee person, you have a right to view the financial records of your municipal committee, your municipal party. You have a right to access the party bylaws, the county bylaws, within 48 hours of being elected to the position. They have to send you the bylaws if you ask for them. You have the right to propose and vote on adoptions or amendments to the bylaws or to the party constitution. You have a right to propose and review candidates who will run on the party's ticket, and you have a right to vote for candidates to fill vacancies in elected offices. So these are your rights, and you should really know your power, because they might not always give you that power, and you should know what to demand. And again, if you think the process of making decisions is undemocratic, you can make a motion for a vote to change the bylaws and create a more democratic process. You can make a motion to get rid of the line and create a more democratic process. But this is not easy. This is not going to happen in a day. And I want to say this is where, like, if you need to change things, and I'm hoping that you're running in order to change things, you need to know. You need to know exactly what you're doing. You need to know the rules, and you need to know where to make these proposals. And I'll give you an example that happened just this week in my county, Mercer County. We had this amazing event in which, in our county convention, so Mercer County is one of the more democratic counties, little d democratic, in the sense that we actually have secret ballots to vote. With all of us, all of the county committee members, 400 or so were in this meeting, vote on endorsements. But it turns out, and we found this out not because they gave us that information easily, but somehow someone found out that they were going to suggest at the very beginning of the meeting that for all the incumbents, we vote by acclamation. So en masse, we just endorse all the incumbents, and then only open positions. So we had a commissioner seat that was open. Someone was not running for re-election, and we have an assembly seat that's open. Someone is not running for, is running for Senate actually instead of for assembly. But the other incumbents would be voted in by acclamation. And we had great slates, 6 candidates for commissioner and 5 candidates for assembly who were running. And so the question was, are they all running for that one empty seat, or are for that one vacant seat, or are they running for all 3 county commissioner seats? And so a bunch of us got together and strategized, how do we do this? And it turns out that in our committee meeting, the bylaws say that we vote for everybody, but for 2 decades, at least, that's as far as we've managed to go back, the meeting starts with a motion to suspend the bylaws and just vote by acclamation on all the incumbents. And this is like really quick. You just come in and they're like, okay, we had a convention committee. They have some suggestions here. Their suggestions. They read this whole long thing that, like, it's hard to follow exactly what is there. And this is like the basis for having the convention today, because they're the convention committee. They decide on the structure of the convention committee. Let's all accept. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Let's all accept their suggestion for the structure of the convention today. We all vote yes, and we just voted to vote by acclamation on all the incumbents. So we caught it at that point. We asked, last year we tried to do something like this and we didn't know all the rules, and we did it too late. We did it after the convention committee report had been accepted, because we didn't think that's a big thing. This year we knew that we have to wait until it's seconded, but then suggest a motion to amend the report. And so we suggested that motion. There was a debate on that motion, and that motion passed by 65.5%. So most people wanted to, let's not suspend the bylaws. Let's have a proper vote here. And that's what happened. This Commissioner Ann Cannon, who has been commissioner for 27 years, actually did not get endorsed. You should have heard her. Like we had, what are they called? Candidate forums. She could not string 2 sentences together in some of these forums. Like this is why we didn't want to just vote by acclamation, because when you're a 27-year incumbent and you've never had to run a competitive election because she was appointed the first time and then always by acclamation from then on, She can't actually tell us even what her platform is. And that's not who we want to represent us. County commissioners, their budget is 20% of the state budget. Huge budgets that they control. So this is really important. But you have to know exactly when to make the motion, and you have to come with, we had a whole slate of people that were ready for the debate. We all gave our 1 minute debate speech. So we organized for this. And if you organize, you don't have to organize with 400 people. We organized 10 people and it passed by 65%. So you can do it. You just need to do some behind the scenes organizing. What else you can do? Join our Don't Be Blinded by the Line campaign, which is really a voter education campaign. We send out these memes before the election, before the primary election. It's really just talk to your neighbors, let them know. People don't know about this. People who have lived in New Jersey and voted in New Jersey their whole life, when I tell them this, they're shocked. They never even realize that the line is not the party line, that if they don't, that they vote down this line because that's who their party is. They don't realize that Frida Kahlo here is also in the same party, and just open their eyes to this. Work to get rid of the line by endorsing our resolution to create a fair ballot. So in your municipal committee, actually, it says here like in Princeton, but we haven't gotten it voted on yet. Good Government Coalition of New Jersey will come talk to your municipal committee, come give a presentation about the party line. It's not as long as this one, it's only 20 minutes. Answer all the questions that they have. Get your municipal committee to consider supporting the resolution. Get your township committee, your mayor and council to support the resolution, your Democratic club, your Republican club. It's, again, nonpartisan. And we really want to bring a change in all of New Jersey. So take a look at this resolution to create a better ballot. It's on that website, betterballotsnj.org. And I hope you can work to support that. That's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on any of these issues. Thank you for listening for so long on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's Brian.
Hi.
Hi. The main question, first of all, this was great. I mean, I know a lot of this information, but it was great the way you described it and put it all in one place, and it was really great. Is it possible for us to get this presentation?
Yes, I will send it to all of you right after this call. I can say that there are a couple of more slides on it. One is some arguments against that we can talk about later, but you can find them here later if people argue with you and say, oh no, we need to have the party line. So you can find some arguments here, and also some ways to join the Good Government Coalition. But those are the only two that I didn't get to. Oh, actually some tactics as well. So you can get all that later when I send you the slides. You had another question?
I don't have one yet.
Okay, sorry. I thought
maybe someone else will
first.
Maybe someone else will say something that'll prompt me.
Let me tell you one more thing about this. The Good Government Coalition of New Jersey is a coalition of groups. You might be in groups that would want to join the coalition, or you yourself can join the coalition. There are two ways to join. Well, there are three ways. One is to just follow us on Facebook and Twitter and kind of be in the know of things that we do, like this training and other campaigns that we do. Another is on our website, ggcnj.org. There is a join form, and that adds you to our call to action list. We don't have lots of calls to actions. It's not like I get like 10 calls to action a day from all kinds of candidates. Ours is like, once or twice a year when there's some bill that is important for good government in New Jersey, then we have a call to action. So you can get on that list. If you want to join the group proper, we meet every 2 months on a Zoom meeting. So you can also just email me. If you email contact@ggcnj.org, that gets to me, and ask to join. And last,